Hi, this is Ryan with Accelerate Marketing and also with Business Trends TV. And today I have Claire Passlow on with us. Claire is an expert in the property management field. She's with Passlow Properties. And what she's going to talk to us about today is how to find or identify a great property management company. So Claire, let us know, what are some of the three things that you would look for if you're looking for a great property management company?
It's a really good question because property management is something that should not be taken lightly. So my three tips are, first, that you should look for an agency that specialises in property management, because traditionally real estate agents start out as sales being their main focus, and property management sort of just comes along as a bit of a poor sister. So if you can get an agency that really specialises, you can ensure that you are getting the best quality service and you'll be optimising your return as well.
Okay.
The the second tip that I would have is look for an experienced property manager. So ensure that they are backed with reviews or testimonials that perhaps you can get offline, that they've got a good rating, and that people are leaving positive reviews about them. Traditionally in real estate also, property management sometimes can be a stepping stone to sales. So make sure that the person that you interview is the person who's going to be managing your property, because there are a lot of agencies that will send out a sort of a salesperson, if you like, to sign up the business, but then they're handed over to somebody else that perhaps you've never met before. So make sure the person you're interviewing is the right person who's going to be managing your property. They have longevity at their agency, so they're not going to have a change of staff on a regular basis.
Awesome. So what you're saying is a couple of things. Number one, make sure they got great reviews and a great reputation. I mean, that kind of is a precursor to everything, I think. If I see that somebody's got a great reputation out there, then I'm going to be much more likely to engage with them, because if I see that other people have had a great experience, I most likely will have a great experience myself. So, and I guess the other thing you said is make sure that the person that's actually going to be managing your property that sold you on that particular company is the one that's actually going to be doing the management for you. That's correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, awesome. So I think those are some really great tips, and I think that's really going to help our viewers to really identify the best property management, not only in Manly but in any area. So that applies to any part of the world. Now, there's also some questions that have come in from people that we've talked to, and one of the questions that's really frequently asked is, what if my tenant doesn't pay? What happens then?
That's definitely a frequently asked question. Arrears management should be done on a daily basis, and there should be a very strict criteria. I know within my agency we do it on a daily basis. As soon as all the rents are downloaded, we print off a list that shows us exactly who's in arrears. First-time offenders are dealt with the hardest, because we don't want to set a precedent moving forward that it's okay to be 1 or 2 days late. And our office definitely has a zero tolerance for arrears. So when they first become a tenant with our agency, they sign off on a procedure that shows them exactly that zero tolerance for arrears is just not acceptable within our office.
Understood. So what you're saying is you want to set the precedent right up front. You want to establish the way that you're going to treat them from then on, right in the very beginning, and instead of saying, okay, we're okay with this, you're saying, okay, look, this is what the expectations are, and you're saying that right up front so that you can proceed with those same expectations for the rest of the term of the tenancy, correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So the other question that we get a lot is, how often do you do inspections? Because that's a really, it's an important thing. You want to make sure that your property is kept in as best shape as possible, especially if you're an absentee landlord. So.
Exactly. So the legislation states we can do up to 4 inspections per year. You can do those at any time of the year. My agency, we do one 3 months after the tenant moves in. We also use technology. So we all use iPads through an app which allows us to take photographs of each particular room. So our owners, especially our absentee owners, can see how the property is visually being maintained. Because I have seen in the past some agents who actually don't go out to the property. They do do a desk inspection. So this is just a way to really ensure that the owner is being looked after and can see how the property is being maintained. Then it's done every 3 to 6 months thereafter, depending on how well they're looking after the property. But a full report is emailed with photographs.
Okay, so you use technology to get them as much information that the property, not the landlord or the owner of the property owner, you use you use your iPads, etc., to send them photos so that they can be made aware of exactly what's going on with the property at any given time, and you're basically inspecting the property as often as you possibly can legally, which is 4 times a year.
That's correct. And doing it on the iPad and using that technology really helps us identify any repairs and maintenance, because sometimes it's hard to explain to an owner, what something is called. So if you take a photo tells 1,000 words. So we find it short circuits the process of getting repairs done as well.
Absolutely. Getting those repairs done quickly and easily, and making sure, the other thing, I mean, I guess obviously the other advantage is that you can flip that picture or that video over to the person that's going to do the repairs, and you can potentially get multiple bids on one repair and maybe get a much better price for your property owner.
Exactly, and not inconveniencing the tenant either, with them having to go out and do a quote and then having to go back and do it. If we can shoot them off a photo or a video of it, they could quote directly from that. So it causes no inconvenience or little inconvenience for the tenant as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great use of technology. So, Claire, and then what is, the other question is that we get a lot is, what is the application process? Because there's a lot of property management companies that have a lot of different hoops that you have to jump through, which are good and bad, because obviously you want to have a good filter, but you also don't want to make it so difficult that you can't get the other some good people in that you might screen out that otherwise would be good, that your process is just kind of eliminating because it's just too challenging of an application process. So what is your application process?
Well, our application process is very similar to opening a bank account. We think everybody has a bank account, so you should be able to provide us with 100 points of ID as a minimum, so then we know exactly who is going into the property. Everybody over the age of 16 needs to complete an application form, so we know exactly who's going into the property, because as an owner, I'd want to know who my occupants are. They need to provide employment evidence, so a pay slip, show how much they've earned. If they're self-employed, we need to speak to an accountant, show us their business certificates. They're also run through a couple of national databases that tells us whether or not they're blacklisted or left or absconded from anywhere in a different state. So there's a whole lot of checks that we go through in order to make sure that we choose the best applicant for our owners.
Awesome. So you have a very complete and very, I think, very fair application process. I mean, I'd want to know that the person is who they are, obviously, and you definitely do that. You go even beyond that. So you have a very a good application process that makes sure that you're able to identify somebody that's going to be a good long-term tenant, it sounds like.
Yeah, and it's also very transparent. So the tenants apply online, and therefore I can flick that application to the owner so they can visually see it themselves, and I just make all my comments and notations on that, so they are able to, rather than just listening to the facts that I present to them, they can read it themselves. So the application process is very transparent as well.
That's nice. I mean, because what you can do then is make it so that the business owner can actually see who these people are, which is, I think, very rare in the property management business. Typically, I think a lot of times the property manager or the property owner doesn't really get a chance to actually see who these people are before they move in. So you're making it very easy for them to do that, and I think that's really smart. So, good job. Well, the final question is how many inspections do you do per year? We kind of already talked about this. I mean, you've done, I think you said you do 4 inspections a year, correct?
Yeah, we didn't mention the ingoing and the outgoing inspection, obviously. So before a tenant moves in, we go in to the property when the property is vacant and do a complete condition report of the property. So noting down any marks on walls, on carpets, on floorboards, things like that. And again, we use our technology to ensure that they're all noted down, and that report is given to the owner and to the tenant. And then
Okay.
we do the same at the expiration of the lease as well.
So the beginning and the end of the lease also. Okay, great. Now, are there any other questions that you get a lot, Claire, from your tenants that you might want to address right now?
Not so much from the tenants, probably more from a landlord's point of view is they also want to know how they're going to get their money each month. So that's always a question because obviously they're doing it to get some income from the property. So we have a requirement by law to account to them once per month, and we do that via a statement, and you can receive your money electronically into your account, or you can receive a check if that's the way you prefer to get it, but the majority receives it electronically. And within our office there is a login, so each owner can log in to our website and they can retrieve any of their statements at any time of the year that they request, and our owners actually love that, especially come tax time, which we're nearing, that if they've lost their statements, they can just log on and get all of their statements off to be able to satisfy their tax requirements.
That's great. So what you're saying, Claire, is that you're very able to send your clients the statements that they would have for the complete year of all of the income that they've received, so it's easy for them to do their taxes at the end of the year, and also you're able to pay them multiple different ways. So it's not just via check; it's electronically and pretty much any way that they would want, I guess.
That's
Correct?
correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's generally in their account next business days, cleared funds as well.
Okay, so in their account next business day. So that's good also. So it's quicker. The quicker it's those funds are in the account, the better. Now, what other questions do you get from the owners again?
Repairs and maintenance is something that always comes up because everybody's always after the best job, but also at a really great price as well. So we ensure that we have all repairs and maintenance must be in writing from the tenant, unless it's an emergency. But basically, we will have a couple of plumbers, a couple of electricians, a couple of handymen, just to keep them honest.
Okay.
And we would rotate those jobs around to ensure that we get the best possible price.
Okay.
And as I said, with those photos that we provide, make sure that we get a really good price, and it's easy to get competitive prices on a couple of jobs by using those photos. So we really pride ourselves on ensuring that we get the best rate possible for our owners, because that's what I would want if I had a property managed. Or the other thing that we also do is anything over $500, we physically go out and inspect before we pay the bill.
Okay, so a couple of things. Number one, what I'm hearing is that you have a very complete system for making sure that you get the best bids possible from your repair team, and any bids that are over $500, you go to the property owner so that you're talking to them first before those repairs are made.
Yeah, so if a tenant was to ring me and tell me that, there's a hole in the roof or something like that, I'd go out and obviously have a look, take any photos that need to be done for insurance purposes. But once the job's completed, before I pay that bill, I would go out and make sure that it's done correctly. Because, you don't want to pay a bill unless something's done right. So we just draw a line in the sand and say anything over $500 is quite a big spend. Yeah. So we want to inspect it before we pay the bill for our owners.
Awesome.
And take a photo to show that it's been completed.
Yeah, so you're taking a photo to make sure that it's been completed. So you're really doing full documentation of everything that's been completed, everything that's been done, and you're making sure that that owner gets as much information as possible, and they're getting the best price that they possibly can by getting multiple bids and making sure that you document everything.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Are there any other questions that you get frequently from your owners?
No, they're probably the main ones that we get asked. They're generally sort of tends to be their fears more than anything. Going out to talk to them.
Okay, awesome. You just broke up there for a second, but you're back on. Thank goodness I didn't lose you. I don't know what happened with our with our feed there. My heart just about dropped. But but um, but anyway, it was really great interviewing you, Claire. I always learn something when I interview you and I talk to you. So I know that you've got a great business there, and you're very technologically advanced in terms of how you're running your business, and also how you're managing your properties. I think the other thing that always impresses me is with you is that you treat every client individually, like an individual. They're not just a number. And I know that this is what you do. It's not, you don't do a million different things. So I think that's great. And if anybody wanted to, is there any final thoughts that you have that you want to leave with?
Basically, that if anybody's got a property in the Manly area, Northern Beaches of Sydney, I'd be delighted to have a chat to them, a confidential chat, even if you're with another agent, because a lot of people think it's so hard to leave their agent, but it's not. It's really simple, and I would manage the whole process for you.
Great.
Don't put up with bad service any longer.
Yeah, don't just settle. Exactly. So that process is pretty easy from what I understand. And then if somebody wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to get a hold of you? Is it I guess the number here, the 1-300-663-653?
That's correct.
Okay. And
you'll
then
come straight through to me.
Okay, straight through to you. And then what is the your website address? If you could just let us know what that is too, that'd be great.
Yep, it's www.passlowproperty.com.au.
Okay, Passlow, that's P-A, if you could spell it out, that'd be great. Yep.
L-O-W property.com.au.
Awesome. So thank you very much, Claire. Let's talk again soon. We'll get an update and maybe in another 2-3 months as to what's going on, to see maybe an update in the market in terms of what kind of rents you're getting. Just to kind of update the business or the property owners, so that you can kind of you've got a good pulse there in Manly. So maybe we can next time do something on that, because I know that if you talk about rents, the trends for the rents, I think that would be something that would be very interesting for the other guys that are out there that have properties that are looking for management companies too. So we'll do that next time.
Excellent.
All right. Thanks,
so
Claire.
much.
Okay.
Bye.